Hello everyone. Today we have with us prominent Indian artist Seema Kohli on the podcast.
Hello everyone, it's lovely to be here with Khushboo.
Thank you Seema for taking out your time. Seema is an acclaimed Indian artist known for her enchanting blend of mythology, spirituality and femininity in her artworks. With a career spanning decades, Kohli's paintings and sculptures intricately weave together ancient wisdom and contemporary expressions. Through her diverse body of work, Kohli invites viewers on a transcendent journey that celebrates the divine feminine and the eternal dance of creation. Before we move further, I would like to thank our supporting partner, Chaulaz Heritage Jewellery. Seema, tell us about your journey into arts. What led you to it? Why arts as your career option? Also, a little bit about your educational background.
So, art was not an option. It was what I was, like right from childhood, much before I actually knew the word artist. I knew this was my path. This is what I belonged to. That was the space I was most comfortable with. And it talked to me. So it was something that I related to very easily, and there was a lot of comfort in spending time with myself. Actually, art is a lonely and a very inward journey for every artist.
Every artist, true.
Until the time you're comfortable with yourself, you just don't know what you're doing there. So for me, art was the only option. And about the fact that how I chose it to be a profession, that was much later, because what I was doing earlier also, without getting into an academic education of art, I was more of a seeker, wanted to understand why I'm here, what am I doing here, like what is my business to be here on this earth. And that those questions were probably instilled by my family, my father, more my grandfather, and it was just to I was in awe of something that is beyond us, beyond our imagination, and trying to capture that with a language which probably no one would understand, because it's not a word, it is images. And to translate that image, idea into image was what was very fascinating. It was always mysterious. And then to understand what people are trying to read through it. I think it was very playful activity for me. And then I wanted to do philosophy because I wanted to understand. I knew a lot about the Eastern philosophies, faiths, religions, but I had no idea about the Western. And I wanted to understand if there is only one divine self through which we have all emerged, what is the difference between East and West? There cannot be. So I went through philosophy honors, I did my study, and then I wanted to join a art college, and I joined South Delhi Polytechnic because the art college, the dates were over and submission dates were over, and I just could not get through. So I was in South Delhi Polytechnic, which was again a very exciting place. I think I find everything really exciting.
That's very good.
I like to look at that. But because I was understanding different mediums, and that was a space which taught me how to translate the single idea. Like there were things that I would do with pen and ink, then I would do in color, then I would do in etching, then I would do in lino. The same image, how it transforms and lends itself into different forms and changes its complete perception. So that it was very exciting for me. I thought that that was a very important space for me.
That was something you wanted to pursue.
Yeah. After that, I went to Triveni for almost 10 years under Mr. Rameshwar Bruta, which was again I think a space to discipline yourself and in a community art space, that was also that sort of instilled in me the idea of discipline, how to discipline yourself as an artist. You just cannot be, going, okay, kuch bhi kar rahe hain, kuch bhi. So the disciplining of time that I had to allot to my work was what I got from
That's
jewellery.
cool.
Yeah, it was very, very important.
Seema, your art often explores themes of mythology, spirituality, and feminine experiences. What draws you to these subjects, and how do you represent them in your work?
Yeah, the mythologies, the narratives, the oral histories, the memory, they are very important part of my work, and that's what I interpret most of the time. I am an avid reader. I love to, sort of indulge myself in reading, and that's the reason a lot of these artworks are also research based, and I have to give it to my family, most of it, because that's from where I got
Comes
this
from.
whole, the whole idea. Because I don't think I would have even explored half of what I've heard till yet from my grandfather and more from my father. I don't know who to contribute it, but they had an immense impression on me. The idea of feminine came much, much later in my life. We never had any, the goddesses in our house, though we had, the Ashtami thing happening. But the idea of goddess and the feminine energy was not so predominant. I explored later in my life. I was probably 10 when I saw, Durga sitting on a lion. I think that's where the change, it was. I saw her and I knew that this was a form which was in total control, which was balanced, which was, and it had almost everything I didn't have.
An epitome of beauty,
the grace,
power,
beauty,
grace.
power, and fierceness, so that is where
the justice.
the justice, and so I started to explore, and I'm still exploring her.
Wow.
But everything I see, it engulfs in the idea of birth, of the idea of the seed, and that's from where the Hiranyagarbha series started. It started almost 30 years back, and I'm still trying
Working
to
on it.
I'm trying to get a hold of it, but it is so, it's like Maya. She's so playful. She's constantly trying to play around, and that's what I'm trying.
Very, very deep.
Yeah.
Also, many of your artworks feature intricate patterns and symbols. So, could you elaborate on it and how they contribute to the overall narrative of your artworks?
So the repeated patterns become symbols, as far as I think. And these patterns are nothing but the layers of mind as I see it, because mind is, again, one thought born, one thought dead, like a bubble gum in my mouth. I wrote poetry like that. It's constantly moving. That's what meditation is all about, that you're trying to control it, take hold of it, that please, ruk jao, stop. It just keeps on moving, and you have to just let it be till the time the process becomes smaller, softer and softer. So there was a time when I was even writing the mantras on the
Artworks,
on
yes,
the
of course.
artworks about 15, 20 years back. It was because then those mantras were constantly reciting in my head, and I could not control, and that was my meditative therapy to me, myself, and now it is images, and those images become cathartic, because they're constantly like people put brush strokes. Artists would put a brush stroke and repeat it. Probably, a brush stroke would complete their painting. But for me, a repeated image becomes that brush stroke. It is more tedious, but and more probably skill. But I find a lot of solace in that. And the same way, whenever I'm doing a body or an image or a figure, I visualize that complete the supreme consciousness, you could call it, how everything is within it, nothing is without it, I see each and every being like that. In Tantra, it is said that whatever you are seeing outside is within you. You know, वही चांद सूरज, हाँ वही चांद सूरज रेत मिट्टी, everything, pani, everything is within you. And I see that in every form, and I try to sort of explore it and put it there.
Put it there, and a very cathartic experience and expressing it.
And mostly the response that I get is that the people who keep my collectors or some, but they come back to me and tell me that it is so beautiful and cathartic to keep sitting in front of the work and watching it, sort of seeping in.
So your art has been exhibited internationally. How do you see your work being received in different cultural contexts?
It is so surprising that I've never been able, I've never got a response that, oh, we don't understand this. You know, like I was in Spain and it was almost that they were asking me, did you get your education somewhere in Spain, art education, because it had the same kind of vibrancy and detailing and everything. And I was very surprised with that. And the same, I think, happens when I go to other places, you know, and it sort of, it feels good. Like in Japan, I'd never thought Japan would be some place which would connect to my work in a way, but they found that the colors and the thing that responded to them.
True.
And the same happened with China and of course other neighboring countries. So there is, we belong to the same world, and there is
it is universal language.
Yeah, it is, and we live the same lives. Yeah, we live and we make camouflage it with different materialistic things, but inside it is the same.
It's all same.
Yeah, in Punjabi we say the chetana, that thing which is alive is what breathes in everyone.
Yeah.
You know.
Your art often celebrates the divine feminine in various forms. Could you throw some light on your exploration and femininity and empowerment through your art?
The feminine for me is the creator for anything that is physical. Because when the supreme consciousness, which is genderless, it's neither he nor she, the Brahman that we call, that's not he, that's not she. But when that consciousness wanted to reveal itself, that became the feminine form. So everything that we have visible is feminine. You know, there is a verse I would like to stay here. Ekam ai jagat le ai, tinche le parvan, ek sansari, ek pandari, ek laye divan. That there is only one feminine which was married to the universe, which was, and then she created all the gods and goddesses who became her children. And because she was there, for me it is, I'm a believer of Maya. I believe that anything, of course, you have to surpass it. As Ramakrishna Paramahansa also said, that you have to surpass that, but you have to respect that feminine form. Until the time we respect that feminine form as a complete whole, as consciousness, we will never be able to respect the feminine, the woman that it is. So I believe that if you do not respect Prakriti, if you do not respect nature,
Mother Nature,
the first disrobing of Prakriti happened through when we lost respect for nature. We didn't know what we were doing, cutting trees, throwing garbage everywhere. You know, we know what we do.
Yeah,
I don't have to say anything. So we don't realize where to stop. And that feminine, when it gains a woman's form, you know what is happening all over the world. And that's how I express it. That she's the mother, she's the giver of everything. Whatever material we have. Till the time we do not respect, all genders come within her. Because she's the creator of it. She's playing with it. जैसे मिट्टी के साथ कोई भी खेल रहा है. and she brings in consciousness, her partner, that come, give life to it. I've come from you, because she's emerged from that consciousness, that Brahman, that supreme consciousness, and she brings it as the male, as the female, and brings them together and balances them as this universe. So there is a lot of drama in the whole thing.
That's going on.
That's going on, and it is so beautiful. You can just go on thinking about it and talking about it, actually. I don't know if I've answered your question right.
No, you have. Very
Okay,
beautifully.
thank you. Just.
So collaboration seems to be an important aspect of your artistic practice, and whether it's with your artists or with craftsmen. A recent example perhaps is the multi-dimensional performance, My Cloak of Color, Air and Song, which was part of your solo show, cut from the same cloth. Can you talk to us about that performance and how you build the performances working with other artists?
Yeah, so this idea of cut from the same cloth had been. It was in my head for a long time, and I've been working on it with another initiative, which is in Panipat, and they're craftsmen who were weaving only carpets. Like, this is made by them, the weavers of Panipat, and they were used to only machine work and tufting and all that. And they, when I talked to the initiative, Raj Initiative, they told me that they were trying to do something with their craftsmen to give them another, so that they can respect what they're doing, because they come over there as a 9-to-5 job. They come, they check in, and they get themselves coupons and everything. फिर बैठ जाते हैं, काम करते हैं, शाम को चले जाते हैं.
For the livelihood.
Yeah, it's not that they are skilled in any kind of. They get skilled when they come. So I started to work with them at that point. I gave them my artworks for smaller, that okay, let's try this. It was just not happening with their material. So I told them that we would need a machine, embroidery machine, and they said they don't know how to use it. But then they taught them how to use it, and that's how we started. So this is what we say, where it became a collaboration, where they were learning something from me, and my artwork was getting a different dimension.
True.
So it was a beautiful experience.
How beautiful.
Yeah, and my first show I did in their workshop.
Wow.
They were amazed, because they were going on doing it, and they for 7 years. You can imagine,
like
it was
a monotonous work, just for livelihood.
And then they were when they saw, and they would just, whenever I would, इसका क्या करोगे मैडम, कि इतने बड़े-बड़े 10 feet 12 feet के काम हैं, and what are you going to do? So the first show I had was at their workshop. I invited all the people who worked with me, all the skilled artisans or artists. They just came, and they were shocked when they saw the expanse of the work and display. So while I was working on this, Kabir has and Baba Farid, Bulle Shah, they're a household name in Punjab. I don't have to talk about it in a different way. That I was given something. It's a very common, like, on anything a verse is thrown at you that you may
it's
learn.
like Kabir or
Kabir
Shah.
Baba Farid. So the first thing they say is, because they were weavers, and Kabir was a weaver, and they talk about the body as a cloth. But for me, and a space of experience. They both say that. Everyone says that this is a space of experience. But mostly where we stop is that it is a cloth. And I wanted to take it as more as an experience. So I called it a cloak made of air, songs, and breath. Breath, air, and songs. No, breath, color, and songs. So I wanted to talk about it as it's a place which is breathing, which is giving you all the experience to transcend it. If we did not have this body, it would not be, we would not be able to transcend it and get the highest liberation or moksha, or go into another realm, watch what is happening, watch yourself from the outside as somebody else and looking at your own body. So this was an experience I wanted to share with people, and that's how it came about. I worked with movement artists with whom we created movements. I worked with a musician who had further musicians along with him. I wanted a different kind of music which was not only traditional but contemporary. So we created a music. Then I had an animation artist who created an animation of my artworks which were displayed there. So it becomes multi-layered, but at the same time, I owe it all to my images. I won't have been able to do anything. I think here, I just bow down to these images which are talking to me all the time, and they're very demanding images, like अब मुझे ये चाहिए, अब मुझे ऐसा चाहिए, you know. So it becomes like that, and it is directional. Input is mine, but of course, I'm working with a lot of artists.
That's very beautiful. Very commendable.
I hope I'm not very complicated because
not at all.
Yeah.
Actually, this should be my first question, but I'm asking it to you now.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what role does art play in society, particularly in today's fast-paced and digitally driven world?
I have always maintained that the artists are the fragrance of the society. You know, they don't say anything with their fist, hitting kind of a thing like that. But what they say is very subtle, very important. Art is the only means for us to go back in our time. What we look at when we go into excavations, when we want to find out our roots, is only through art.
Our history and culture.
Our history is only culture, from where it has come, what we are all about. What are these images saying, which are, varied in time. They are just, how do we know what was the life when Buddha was there? The Ajanta Ellora talking about it. So it's that important.
True.
And I think we can't do without it.
True.
We have to give ourselves, and every person is an artist, every person knows how to understand art. It's, of course, the samay dena padta hai. Even to understand or see something.
So, Seema, if you could live in any mythological story, which one would it be and why? Also, what character would you like to be?
I like to be water.
Oh,
yeah.
That is something I was not expecting. I was expecting some feminine energy,
Water
some Durga or some...
No. These are the elements which are very feminine. Water is the spur.
Interesting.
I would like to be the goddess of water,
Wow.
or air. So these are the two, elements I've always imagined myself to be, water or air. So
Wow.
I would like to be that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, what are some of your favorite readings from different mythological stories or the many philosophies like Greek, European, Indian? You read a lot.
I read a lot, and I find that there is so much of similarity between all of them. The Indian are so deep, the same when you start reading Greek. It is the same, and they are so fascinating. Then you read European, and you
Egypt.
Egypt. So
it all comes down to the same concept of birth, death,
and salvation.
True.
So कुछ अलग नहीं लगता है. After some time you say कि नहीं ये अच्छा है. You hold on, and then I would get some other like I was reading Greek philosophy, the Greek goddesses and everything. It's about the history of and then about how it travelled to east towards our country, and then over there I read a name Sialkot, and my grandmother was from, so and they had come all throughout there, and from there they took certain imagery and certain gods and goddesses, they went back, and
even the Alexander came very close to India, and he left his mark there. Yes.
He in fact came through my ancestral village, and they still had that wall which he broke and came in.
Oh, wow.
And now it is in Greater Punjab. So,
so the connection is there.
Yeah, the connection is there. And as children, my grandfather was a Unani Hakim. Yunan is Greece.
Okay.
And my past 8-9 generations were Unani Hakim.
Okay.
So we had a lot of stories from Greece growing up, and how similar the language was, how they. So sometimes it's so beautiful. I like to see the similarities that they are there between different cultures, different. Instead of saying कि अच्छा ये अच्छा है और हो सकता है कि ये वाला ज़्यादा अच्छा है, but मुझे वो अच्छा लगता है कि okay इसमें से यहाँ से निकले तो ये भी आ गया, so I love to
little something from here, little something from there,
and
but it's all same.
It's all the same. Yeah.
If you had to choose only one artwork of yours which you think expresses you, what would it be?
I'm broken into bits. I'm sorry. I'm broken into bits. I don't think I can do that.
Maybe it's everything, all your artworks is you. It cannot be one.
Yeah.
Everything has you, your expression, your catharsis, your journey.
That's true. I don't think so.
So thank you, Seema, for your time. Lovely conversation we had.
It was a pleasure, Khushboo. It was a joy to talk to you. Lovely.
Thank you.
I got few answers to myself by talking to you. Yeah.
So we also thank our supporting partner, Chaulaz Heritage Jewellery.